What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, Abelson's College Football Show, formerly known as Under Center, presented by the Real Spiel podcast. We decided to scrap the name Under Center. We're just going to go by Abelson's College Football Show. My name's Abelson. This is a college football show. Just to keep it nice and simple, we are back for season 2. We are officially under 3 weeks until week 0, until we have real live college football games. It's been a long off season, man. It has been a long off season. The Super Bowl has come and gone. March Madness has come and gone. The NBA Finals, I'm a basketball lover. That has come and gone. It was one of the best playoffs in the NBA that we have seen in years. But none of it's just scratched the itch, man. None of it has filled that hole that college football feels. Nothing like a crisp fall college football Saturday. And we are literally T-minus under 3 weeks till that happens. Again, if there's any new viewers here, last year we started Under Center, which is this same show. We started Under Center. I've been thinking and sitting on making YouTube videos around college football for a while. I run a TikTok page, CFB Abe, where we've been making TikTok videos on it for a while. But my brother Roman, he did start a YouTube channel, or kind of a YouTube media, local media network, which is Real Spiel Podcast, which is what this video will be posted on that YouTube. And he asked me if I wanted to have a college football show. And I love college football, and I could literally, as you will see in this episode, could literally talk about college football as long as you let me. So it was a no-brainer. So we are back for season 2. Gonna try and keep the format pretty similar. Last year we would do about 2 or 3 episodes a week. We would do a preview, we would do a recap, we would do picks. So we're going to do the same thing during the season. We're going to have recaps. We're going to have previews, breakdowns of big games. Going to give you guys my picks for the games. Might try and hit some mailbag questions, some mailbag podcast if, we can get enough questions getting asked. I understand this is still a growing and up and coming YouTube channel and page. So if this is your first time listening, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, because I love college football. And if you're watching this, you probably love college football. And that's why we're here, man. That's why we're here. Today, we're going to keep it pretty simple. First episode, we're just going to get in here. We're going to do my preseason top 25 list. We are around the time where people are starting to drop their preseason rankings. A lot of these media outlets, On3, CBS, maybe ESPN, they're doing their top 25. The AP top 25 should be coming out literally any day now. This is being filmed on August the 12th, and I'm surprised it's not out yet, but it literally, I would not be surprised if it dropped tomorrow. So we are around that time, and when it comes to preseason rankings, I take everything with a grain of salt. Some people get too wrapped up and too focused. Oh, why are you putting out a preseason rank? It's just fun. It's engagement. It's content. It gets you ready for the season. But I take it with a grain of salt because there's been no games played yet. So we literally have absolutely no idea who's good, who's not, especially in this new era of the transfer portal and the NIL era. Rosters literally flip overnight like that, dude. So there's no telling who's good. We saw last year Penn State, LSU, and I think there was another top 5 team or top 10 team. Penn State, LSU, and Clemson. All 3 teams who people thought had great national championship aspirations. What happened? All fell out of the top 25, all ended the season unranked. So you just truly never know, even if you think you have a team figured out. So I take all this with a grain of salt. We're just out here trying to get some content in and trying to get ready for the season. So with that, let's just jump right into the rankings, man. At number 1, and hopefully the rankings will be up somewhere over here. Number 1, I have Oregon. Number 2, Notre Dame. Number 3, Ohio State. 4, Texas. 5, Georgia. Then we got Miami, Indiana, 8 LSU, 9 Texas Tech, 10 Michigan, 11 we have Ole Miss, 12 we have Bama, 13 we have Oklahoma, 14 Texas A&M, 15 USC, 16 BYU, 17 Penn State, 18 Louisville, Washington at 19, SMU at 20, 21 we got Ohio or Iowa. Then 22 we got Tennessee, 23 Utah, 24 Houston, and then 25 we have Virginia Tech. So we're just going to kind of go through kind of one by one and just break down why I have each team ranked where I have them, why I think they're there, what I like about them heading into the season, question marks I may have about them heading into the season. And we're just going to try and get through this list. Not going to try and take up too much time, but knowing me, it'll probably still be a decent time. So at number one, I have the mighty Oregon Ducks. This is a team that is, it's weird, man, because they are right there, man. They are right there. Over the last 2 years, they've made the playoff both years. They won in the first year of the Big Ten. They won the Big Ten and went undefeated. But they've just gone out to just better teams. But I do like Oregon coming back this year. I've talked about this in the past. I think there's kind of a formula in this kind of new era of it's not foolproof because we've seen, for example, like Clemson, excuse me, LSU, and a couple other teams just last year who had this kind of formula but just wasn't able to succeed with it. But the formula kind of is to have high level talent, experienced talent, and to kind of just bring those guys back and run it back. We saw in 2023, Michigan, they had this scenario where they had a bunch of experienced guys, experienced high level guys who could have probably got drafted. They decided, hey, we're going to run this back. They all came back. They balled out. They went undefeated. They won a national championship. Ohio State the next year, a bunch of high level guys who could have probably gone to the draft decided they wanted to come back, try one more time. They stumbled a little bit, but what happened? They eventually broke through, won the national championship. I feel like Oregon does kind of still fit this mold. They are bringing back a bunch of talent from last year on the defensive line. They have talent on the offense. You know, Dante Moore, arguably the best quarterback in the country. DeCorian Moore and Evan Stewart, the two electric wide receivers who missed a good portion, if not the whole season last year. They have Jordan Davidson, the running back, or Jordan Davidson, and then they have Duran Hill Jr., Dyran Hill Jr., whatever his name is. So that's a good backfield. As far as the defensive line, they are bringing back some studs. Mateo Ugalele, Bear Alexander, Amari Washington, just to name a few. And I even forgot about the tight end, man. They got another pass catcher, Jamari Jordan, former U of L player, transferred to Oregon, started balling out. Jamari Johnson. He started balling out. He kind of came onto the scene late last year, and I've seen him on a couple preseason All American lists. So that'd be pretty cool if he was able to do that. But yeah, like I said, Oregon, they are stacked at virtually every position. They have been literally right there every single year. Again, as I was stating earlier, they had 2 good years so far in the Big 12 era, so far since they've been in the Big 10. First year, made it to the Big 10 championship game, won the Big 10 championship game, went undefeated, and got absolutely worked by Ohio State in the Rose Bowl last year. They, again, had a very solid season and then eventually ran into the eventual national champ. But yeah, Oregon, they ran into a buzzsaw again playing against Indiana. They've been on the doorstep every single year. They just run into literally the national champion over the last couple years, and they just do not have enough. And they hit a team who's peaking at the right time, who everything's fallen in line, and obviously have gone on to win a national championship. But I really like Oregon coming into this year. They got arguably the best quarterback in the country with Dante Moore. Again, they got a bunch of returning players, especially on the defensive line. Amari Washington, they got Bear Alexander, again, Mateo Ugalele. that's such a stout defensive group that played and performed extremely well. I think Ukulele could have been like a top 10 draft pick. I don't know if he was a sophomore or not. I think he might have had to come back. I don't know, but even if he could have went out last year, he would have been an easy first round pick, arguably a top 10 pick. And he's coming back. Bear Alexander, the transfer from USC, he had kind of a resurgence year at Oregon last year. And that's just on the defensive side. They arguably have more talent coming back on the offensive side with the wide receivers, DeCorian Moore and Evan Stewart. Both of them were pretty banged up. If I'm not mistaken, they barely played at all last year, and they would have been probably the 1-2 punch in their wide receiver group last year. Those two guys are coming back and healthy. They got Jeremiah McClennan. They got the tight end Jeremiah Johnson. He kind of started to blossom towards the end of last year. And then they got the running back room. They got Jordan Davis and Dyer Hill Jr. Jordan Davis was the true freshman last year who kind of took the spot from the running back that transferred from Tulane. He was supposed to be, I can't think of his name, but he was kind of supposed to be that guy. But he really wasn't. But Jordan Davis kind of took over, and that's kind of why they lost the playoff game against Indiana, because their running back room was banged up and they just did not really have any depth in that running back room. A lot of guys were just hurt. That game probably would have looked a little different against Indiana if they did have healthy running backs. But like I said, Oregon, they are arguably the best team. I think they arguably have the most returning talent. It's just a matter of, can they put it together at the right time? Can they get over the hump? They don't have to win the national championship, but can they maybe get to the Final Four? Can they get to a championship game and kind of go further? But I think they will. If anything tells you my answer, then putting them at number one, I think they will take that next step and kind of be that elite tier one team. Notre Dame is my number two team. I wish could say the only reason Notre Dame is number two is because of their schedule, but they do also have a very talented roster. They just signed the highest recruiting class in Notre Dame history. The number two overall recruiting class, if I'm not mistaken, again, the highest in Notre Dame history. They got their quarterback, CJ Carr, coming back another year in that program. The wide receiver group's going to be good. Obviously, the defense under Marcus Freeman has always just been elite, and I don't think it's going to be any different. The offensive line, Notre Dame and offensive linemen are just synonymous with each other. They always have a great offensive line, and that's not going to be any different this year. The one question that I do have with Notre Dame, are they going to be able to replace the running back group? There was a lot of touches, a lot of talent that walked out of that running back room. Between Jeremiah Smith and Jadarian Price, I mean, that was the group. That was the creme de la creme for running backs in the country last year. Jeremiah Love, obviously Heisman finalist, the Doak Walker Award winner. Like, he was just absolutely incredible. But the 1-2 price with Jadarian Price coming in as well, that's going to be a lot of production to replace. I can't think of his name. I think they have a true freshman incoming this year who has been catching a lot of eyes. He was catching a lot of eyes during spring training. I'm going to have to go back and figure out his name, but from my understanding, this is a guy who is likely to be a stud, man. He is supposed to be arguably a really good player. So that's a guy that they can look forward to. But the thing I cited earlier about the schedule, this is really why I think Notre Dame is going to be, that elite level team this year. Their schedule is just, it's a cakewalk. There's really no other way to say it other than that it is a cakewalk. Their over under win total is literally 11.5, dude. Like, Vegas literally thinks these guys are going to go basically undefeated or lose one game. They start at Wisconsin. They got Rice, Michigan State, Purdue, North Carolina, Stanford. Wisconsin is literally going to be the toughest team they face in that stretch. And I am not a big believer of Wisconsin. I think maybe with, you know, them actually wanting to put resources and give Luke Fickell a chance, they may be able to have to compete. But if Wisconsin is the toughest group you're going to face out of that stretch, that's a problem with that schedule, man. And then they face BYU, which I do give them credit. Obviously, USC. We're gonna get to USC, but USC, they're a bunch of scaredy cats, man. We're gonna try and keep it PG. I could say some, harsher words, but for them to just back out of that game with Notre Dame is soft, man. It's soft. You can say what you want. Oh, we're in the Big Ten now, and we have such a tougher Big Ten schedule. It's soft, dude. No matter what you want to say about it, it's soft. Canceling a rivalry game because of your conference schedule is just straight up soft. But credit to Notre Dame for being able to pick up BYU and play BYU at BYU. So that's going to give them a little tough, schedule addition to their schedule. Then there's Navy, Miami. Everybody's going to be looking at that game. Boston College, SMU, and Syracuse. Um, it really comes down to 3 games, and really, if you want to say it, really 2 games. If you want to throw BYU in there, I think SMU is going to be a good team, but I think Notre Dame just has too much skill and talent for them. BYU, I think, has a better chance because they're a tough team. Like, they're a team that plays tough, physical, and with that game being in Provo, I think that can provide some different challenges. It really comes down to 1 game. Miami, everybody's going to have that game circled. Notre Dame's going to have that game circled. And I think they skate away at worst 11-1. Like, I probably would slightly maybe favor Miami in that game, but it's basically a pick 'em. But at worst, I think Notre Dame's going to go 11-1. If they go 10-2 with this schedule, they're not going to make the playoffs. They went 10-2 last year, and their 2 losses were by 4 points to 2 teams who made the playoffs, and they still didn't make it. So if they go 10-2 with this schedule, they can kiss the playoffs goodbye. They are not making the playoffs. They can just kiss it goodbye. So I think they only lose 1 game, and if they beat Miami, I think they're going to go undefeated. But Notre Dame, yeah, they're my number 2 team in the country, man. I think the combination of the talent to go along with the schedule and the chip on their shoulder that I think they are going to come into the season with after missing the playoffs last year and not getting in. I think that is going to motivate them. I think they've been using that as motivation all off season, and I think they're going to come in and just annihilate teams all year, man. I really do. As for my number 3 team, we have Ohio State, the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think really any of the top 3 teams that I have, I think are really interchangeable. Oregon, Notre Dame, Ohio State. I think that is like 1A. If you're like ranking my tier list, it's 1A compared to like Texas, Georgia, Miami and Indiana. I think that would be 1B. All the top 5, 6, 7 teams, I think it's apples to apples, oranges to apples, whatever this phrase is. You could kind of put any of those teams in another team spot. But I have Ohio State at 3. I think, again, Ohio State is the kind of standard in college football. They've had one bad year in the last 25 years. I think they've only had like one other season where I think they've only had like 2 or 3 seasons in the last 25 years where they've lost like 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. And just the talent they have coming back, dude. Julian Sang, Heisman finalist, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the country last year. He's coming back. Obviously, Weapon X with Jeremiah Smith coming back. He's arguably the best player in the country, regardless of position. They got the number 1 wide receiver, Chris Henry Jr., Bo Jackson, the sensational freshman running back from last year, coming back. If there is a question mark for this team, I don't even know if you could really say it's a question mark because they've entered the last 2 years with these same questions and it hasn't really been an issue, is their defense. They lost a lot of guys on that defense. Both of the Style brothers, Sonny Style and the other Style brother. They lost Arvell Reese. I think they lost Cade. what's his name? I think he was like number 92 defensive lineman. They lost him. They lost the cornerback. Like they lost a lot of experienced talent on the defensive end. But we were saying the same thing last year when they were coming off the national championship and they lost, all those defensive guys. They just have an ability to retool the defensive side. They had the number one defense in the country last year when they had lost all those guys previously. They have Patricia coming back again this year, so that defensive system was just amazing last year. So it's a question mark, but it's not really a concern that I have. I think Ohio State will be able to figure it out on the defensive end, and obviously offensively, they're going to be just fine. Another question mark, I guess, I don't know if you want to say if it's a question mark, but if there is an issue with Ohio State this year, I think it's going to be because of their schedule. This is probably the toughest Ohio State schedule that they have had in years, man. Like, let's just take a look at it. They play Texas at Texas, then they do Kent State, Illinois, then they play Iowa at Iowa, then Maryland, then Indiana at Indiana, USC at USC, Oregon, Northwestern, Nebraska, then Michigan. 4 of their 5 toughest games are on the road. If you want to say Texas, Iowa, Indiana, USC, and Michigan as I think that was 5 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so out of their 6 games, their 6 toughest games, 4 of them are on the road. USC, Indiana, Iowa, and Texas. And then they play Michigan and Oregon, luckily at home. That's brutal, man. That is brutal. I've seen all these FPI, strength of schedule, blah, 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 that has all these SEC teams bunched up in the top 15 when it comes to strength of schedule and toughest schedules in the country. I think it's a bunch of bullshit, man. It's Ohio State. I think Ohio State easily has the toughest schedule in the country, man. It is just absolutely brutal. Like, if they go 10-2, like, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs at 10. They could go 9-3 and probably make the playoffs, depending on who those 3 losses are to. They could arguably go 9-3, I think, and make the playoffs. Do I expect Ohio State to go 9-3? Probably not. We haven't really. I don't think we've ever. Have we seen that in the last 10, 15, 20 years? I don't think so. I don't expect them to go 9-3. By the way, we do content on. This is shameless plug. We do content on TikTok. CFB Abe. CFB Abe. Over the offseason, I went through and did a schedule breakdown of almost every single FBS team on TikTok. They're all going to be there. I did one on Ohio State. I think I had them going 10-2 if I can remember correctly. I think I had them going 10-2. But yeah, if you want more content, hit TikTok. We post content on there daily, every single day. It's been tough during the offseason trying to find things to talk about, but we've made it. We made it through the offseason, so it's going to be a lot easier. We're going to do a lot of content on there. So CFB Abe on TikTok. But back to Ohio State. But yeah, at the end of the day, the schedule's going to be tough, but I think Ohio State's going to be just fine at the end of the season. I think everybody's going to be extremely shocked if we look up and Ohio State isn't competing for the Big Ten championship. But Ohio State is my number 3 team. As far as 4, we do have Texas, the Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em, baby. I have Texas at 4 really because of the roster they're returning, man. If Oregon is number 1 when it comes to returning roster, I think you can put Texas at number 2, man. Like, the roster that they have coming back is just absolutely insane. Arch Manning's coming back. The addition of Cam Coleman in the transfer portal. They still have the other wide receiver. He was there last year. Can't think of his name, but Hollywood Smothers at the running back position. They still have Colin Simmons on the defensive end. I mean, they just have guys at every single position group this year, man. They really do. Um, so I think Texas is going. I think it's really dependent on Arch Manning. I think we might have been a year too early on Arch Manning. I think he was my preseason pick for Heisman last year. Obviously, we saw and witnessed all the struggles that he had early in the season. But over the course of the season, he really just got so much better and better and better, culminating to the Michigan game that the Michigan when they played Michigan in the bowl game. Like his last two games against Texas A&M and then Michigan, like that was incredible football. And I think that momentum is going to carry over into this year. And I think, like I said, I think we were a year early on Arch Manning. I think we are going to see a Arch Manning who's making good passes, who's poised in the pocket, who can obviously use his feet like he did last year, where I'm pretty sure, led his team in rushing yards, which is another problem in itself and why I think Texas was not as good as what they should have been last year. But Texas, they are my number 4 team. As long as Arch Manning and that offensive line can compete and play well, I think they are going to compete for the SEC and potentially win the SEC for the first time and snatch it away from Georgia, who is my next team and who are the back-to-back champions. Georgia, they are my number 5 team. It's like taxes, death, and Georgia football is going to just be good under Kirby Smart. Again, back-to-back SEC champs. It's crazy that they've won the SEC the last 2 years, but they haven't been able to get out of the first round of the college football playoffs. That's kind of wild, dude. That's when you really think about it. That's kind of wild, but I think they're going to be in that same position again this year where they potentially have a bye, which at this point, I think they might try to just avoid the bye because it has not served them well. It really hasn't served any team well over the last several years of this 12-team format. But can we talk about Gunnar Stockton, man? I still don't really understand how it kind of seems like when people put out their quarterback rankings around the country or whatever during the offseason, you did not really see a lot of Gunnar Stockton. And it's kind of crazy because he somehow is still underrated after last year. I mean, when he walked into Neyland Stadium and took Tennessee to overtime, dropped 42, 43 points on their head tops. And then we saw him just absolutely handle Alabama in the SEC championship game. We saw him handle Texas at home. Like, when are we going to start talking about Gunnar Stockton as a potential Heisman favorite, as a top 5 quarterback in the sport? This is a guy who was the best fourth quarter quarterback in the country last year. In the fourth quarter alone, this guy went 56 of his 67 with the 83% completion rating, 567 yards, 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 189 passer rating. This guy was automatic in the fourth quarter. Automatic. And obviously they had that brutal loss to Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss, he just kind of played better. And it was really a situation with whoever had the ball last. It's not even that he played that much better. He just had the ball last. Gunnar Stockton had the ball, went down, tied it, too much time on the clock, and we know what happened. But, I mean, as long as they have Kirby Smart, it's almost like a shoo-in that you can count Georgia to be competing for the SEC. And I think, again, they're going to have a spot in the college football playoffs. My next team we have is Miami. It's all about the U, baby. This is a team who had such a weird year last year, man. Such a weird season. They went from everybody talking to town, number 2 team in the country. Everybody thinks they're going to win the title, to losing 2 straight games to ACC opponents, to making a run to the national championship game. Crazy season. They didn't even win the conference. That's the crazy thing about it. They didn't even win the conference. They still haven't won the conference since they've been in the ACC, coming from the Big East. Will this be the year that they do win it? I think so. I think this will be the year. They upgraded at the quarterback position. As good as Carson Beck was for them, I think he obviously held them back in moments. Those 2 games that they lost at the hands of Carson Beck to a game-winning interception. The 3 games they lost, one to SMU, Louisville, and Miami, all 3 of their losses came to game losing interceptions. The one Louisville picked it up damn near off the turf. The one to my SMU on the goal line, and the one deep to Indiana where he had a chance driving to win the national championship through that interception. Man, that's kind of crazy. I knew that, but like, kind of just clicked in my head that damn, every single time they lost, it was because Carson Beck threw an interception. But I think they upgraded in the quarterback room this year with Darian Mensah coming from Duke. This is a guy who I think was second in the country, first in the ACC, second in the country in basically all the passing stats, passing yards, passing touchdowns. This is a guy who is a great quarterback, man. And I think in that system with Shannon Dawson, with the wide receiver weapons he has with Malachi Toney, who I think is the second best wide receiver in the sport. He has his guy Cooper Barcade, the talented wide receiver that is coming with him from Duke. I think that alone kind of gives Miami a step up offensively. They have the running back coming back. I'm usually so much better at remembering these guys' names. It's just, I've worked all day. It's late over here. I've been trying to mess with this streaming service all day, and I'm recording this much later than I want to. But the running back, who was the starting running back for them last year, who decided to come back, he's coming back. So offensively, I think they're going to be just fine. I think they've upgraded in some areas. I think they have depth, and they signed the number one offensive tackle in the country, offensive lineman in the country, who, Mario Cristobal. This guy, the offensive line is the one area that you do not have to worry about, man. He's going to have a stud of an offensive line. So I think the question is, are they just official, man? Like, are they official? Are they going to win the games they need to win? I think they will. They have a favorable schedule. That Notre Dame game is going to be tough. They play Clemson. We don't know what that's going to look like with Clemson, but I think they're here. I think they're going to win the conference, and they're my number 6 team. We got Indiana at number 7. Indiana, I mean, one of my buddies in our group chat texted the other day. He was like, is Indiana really gonna are they just gonna go back? Are they just gonna be bad again? Or he said something along those lines, and I was just like, bro, what are we doing, dude? What more does Kurt Cignetti have to do to prove that he is a legit coach, that he is here to stay? The guy freaking took Indiana at the time, the losingest program in all of college football history, to the playoffs his first year. The guy doubled back, and won the national championship in his second year. And then he arguably has the best quarterback coming into their first year at Indiana this year. He did all that with quarterbacks who were kind of had question marks, were kind of unknown. Curtis Rourke, Mendoza won the Heisman last year, but going into it, he wasn't seen as this kind of Heisman winning quarterback. Josh Hoover is arguably the best quarterback. Not even arguably, he is the best quarterback out of all 3 of those quarterbacks when they were entering Indiana. He's experienced. He's a 3-year starter, maybe a 4-year starter. He was the number 1 RPO quarterback. No, he was the number 2 RPO quarterback last year. Indiana, they ran the most RPOs last year. Second was TCU and Josh Hoover. So he fits into the system. He's played, good competition in the Big 12. And again, he's just experienced. So I think that alone is kind of an upgrade from what they had entering the seasons the last 2 years. But at the end of the day, it's just Cignetti. This guy, all he does is win. It's just hard for me to think that Indiana is just going to go back to being a 7-8 win team. I think they're going to be just fine. I think they're going to be good. Next up, we have LSU at number 8. This seems like a wild card pick. I guess I'm a little surprised because I've seen a couple other people's polls, and they have LSU kind of a lot lower than I do. I really don't know why. I think LSU should easily be a top 10 team going into this year. Lane Kiffin just took his team to the playoffs. Obviously, he didn't finish the playoffs, but he took the team to the playoffs, and they got a great quarterback with Sam Levitt who fits Lane Kiffin's play style. If you've all Lane Kiffin's quarterbacks, all his good quarterbacks have kind of been that similar. Can run, can make plays with the feet, can make plays off a script, off the run, can throw deep off the run, and that's what Sam Levitt is. Jackson Dart, he was that type of quarterback. Trinidad Chambliss, he was that Adley type of quarterback who can make plays with his feet and through the air. And I think Sam Levitt has a chance to be one of the better quarterbacks in the country. He's already taken a team to the playoffs. We saw him take Texas down to the wire in overtime in a game that it took a 4th and 13 conversion for Texas to even win. Obviously, Sam Levitt was banged up last year with the ankle injury, missed some time in spring training, but he's supposed to be healthy now. So I think Sam Levitt, when healthy, is one of the better top 15 quarterbacks in the country. And they got Jordan Seaton, offensive tackle. I think he was the number 1 in the portal. They kept Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator. They got a lot of guys returning on defense. They picked up the transfer Princewell Umanelli from Ole Miss. They got Weeks coming back. Weeks coming back. I think Lamar Brown was the number 1 player, true freshman coming in, the number 1 player in the class. So I think defensively they're going to be just fine. Offensively, I trust Lane Kiffin. Offensively, he's proven that he is a good offensive coach, and I don't think it's going to be any different. So yeah, LSU at number 8, Texas Tech, man, at number 9, the villain of college football. Toby McGuire made a statement the other day where he said that Texas Tech has tried. I think they're going to accept the villain role, which I don't really look at them as that. I'm not mad that they tried to get Joey Aguilar, or not Joey Aguilar, but again, this is where the tiredness kind of kicks in, and I just can't remember, people's names right now. But y'all know who I'm talking about. Brandon Sorsby. Yeah, Brandon Sorsby. I don't give them crap for trying to get Brandon Sorsby, because every other team in the country would have been doing the same exact thing. It just so happened that Brandon Sorsby wanted to go to Texas Tech and went to Texas Tech. If this was LSU, if this was any other team that would have went there, everybody would have been looking at them the same. So I think it's just kind of crazy that people think they're villains now. But I think Texas Tech is still the cream of the crop in the Big 12 with or without Brendan Sorsby. Will Hammond, this is a quarterback in limited time last year, kind of proved that he could win. He had to come in and basically win that Utah game. I think it was at Utah on the road. True freshman had to come in and took over and dominated that game, and they just won. So he has a little bit of experience. But this is a talented freshman last year, and obviously coming off the ACL injury, that might limit him a little bit, but all the reports are saying that he's going to be good to go week 1. But the roster around him is just going to be just as talented. They still got a lot of defensive talent on the defensive line, running backs. I mean, I just think it's a two-team league in the Big 12. Texas Tech, BYU, Houston, I think can make some noise, but even Utah can make some noise. But I think that's the cream of the crop, and I think Texas Tech is even a level above BYU. But yeah, they have a workable schedule. I still think they're going to be just fine in that conference. Next up, we have Michigan, the Michigan Wolverines. I really, really, really love the addition of Kyle Whittingham at coach. This is a guy who has just year in and year out at Utah has been the epitome of consistency, of toughness, and I think those are two things that Michigan needs. Jim Harbaugh, he brought the toughness to Michigan those last few years with the running game and the offensive line, defensive line. Sharon Moore, you just really never felt that with him you just never really felt that toughness that they had with Jim Harbaugh, with Sharon Moore. But I think Kyle Whittingham is going to bring that toughness back. We know this kind of style that he plays with, run the ball, pass when it's there, toughness on defense. I think that is going to serve Michigan extremely well, man. Bryce Underwood, I think he is going to take that next step in his development. We saw him last year kind of struggled in spots, struggled in moments, but that was as to be expected as a true freshman. But I think him to go along with the system that Kyle Whittingham is going to bring is going to do really well for his game. Kind of that pass run system. We saw it work effectively well with Devin Dampier last year. I think it's going to work well for Bryce Underwood, man. And I think if he can start using his legs more, start running the ball a little more, it's going to open up the pass game. Michigan is my 10th team in the country. I just like what Kyle Whittingham. I like what I think Kyle Whittingham is going to bring to that program. That wraps up the top 10. This episode's kind of getting long, so we're kind of gonna just run through the rest of the top 25. Ole Miss I have at 11. I just fear, man. I just fear with Ole Miss that they might take a step back with a full season with the new coach. He's a good coach. I like him. He did well in the playoffs last year, especially on short notice, but people don't realize that the offensive coordinator is gone. He's Charlie Weiss. He is gone at LSU. And now that it's your team, you had to recruit, you had to bring players, you lost players to the transfer portal. It just makes you wonder, are we going to see Ole Miss maybe take a step back? I do still have them at 11 because at the end of the day, they still have Chambliss. They still have Kewan Lacey. If you have those two guys, I think you are going to be in a good position. And to go along with the fact that their coach is a defensive guy, I think the defense is going to be fine. Alabama at 12. It's just I just don't know, man. I just don't know with Alabama. They could easily be a top 5 team or they could be a bottom 25 team. Like it could literally go either way. And it's like, who's going to start a quarterback? It's going to be a first-time starter. Either it's going to be Austin Mack or Keelan Russell. It's going to be one of those two guys. Are they going to be able to run the ball? That was their demise last year. They just could not run the ball. So I have too many question marks with Alabama to confidently put them in my top 10. Of course, Kalen DeBoer, he's a good coach. I still think they're going to be a good team. I still think they're going to compete. He is one of those coaches who can just, no matter who's at quarterback, kind of just spark that quarterback position, quarterback whisperer, if you will. But I have them at 12. Can't really confidently put them any higher. Oklahoma, we have at 13. Brent Venables in defense. Those two things are synonymous. You have like Mario Cristobal on the offensive line, Brent Venables in the defense. I don't have any questions that defense is going to be a solid group this year. And they have John Mateer coming back for year 2. I think another year in that system is going to do him well. Another year of him hopefully being healthy the whole season. That's kind of what derailed them last year. They had that great win against Michigan, and then he broke his hand, and then he just was never the same anymore. So I'm hoping that Oklahoma can have a healthy quarterback all year, because if they can, to go along with the defense, I think that they will be in a good spot. But again, you kind of see a theme with like good teams who kind of struggled last year was running the ball. Running the ball in a good run game is such a pivotal part of the game. If you cannot run the ball and you don't have, I'm talking about a generational quarterback, you are going to have some trouble on the offensive end. So will Oklahoma be able to run the ball, and are they going to be able to get another kind of wide receiver to kind of step up? Isaiah Satania, he was kind of their guy last year, but they kind of need some other guys to step up. Parker Livingston, the transfer from Texas, he's coming in. Hopefully, he has a chip on his shoulder, especially, since Texas kind of just told him to kick rocks. So hopefully he can kind of be another guy who can step up. But yeah, Oklahoma, they are my 13th team. Texas A&M, they are my number 14 team. It's just last year they had the opportunity and the advantage of having a very easy SEC draw. That's not the same this year. They have a pretty tough schedule this year. Marcel Reed, he was really kind of what undid them last year. If you go look, He had 12 interceptions last year. 6 of those interceptions came in 3 games. South Carolina, Texas, and Miami. He had 2 interceptions in each of those games. And we saw the back-to-back losses against Texas in the Lone Star Showdown and then the college football playoff game against Miami. He was not great in those games. And this was a quarterback who kind of in the middle of the season had some Heisman buzz. He was playing well and kind of just hit a wall. So, I mean, I think Texas A&M goes as far as he can take them. He needs to be better in those big moments. He needs to be better in those big games. But Mike Elko, I think he has that thing rolling. I think Texas A&M has finally hit their groove as a program. And I think they have a chance to compete for the playoffs again. And they are my number 14 team. USC, good old USC, man. Oh, I am first and foremost a USC hater. I will let it be known right now on this podcast. I am a USC hater. I think they get overhyped every single season, every single preseason. Everybody's talking about them. Oh, are they going to make the playoffs? Or are they going to win? And then they just fold, man. They just fold. And we're just waiting for Lincoln Riley to take that next step. He had a great first year with Caleb Williams, won the Heisman, was 1 game away from making the college football playoffs. And every year since, they've won less games, except last year where they actually did play pretty well. They just ran into better teams and couldn't, win those games. But it's time. It's time for Lincoln Riley because he has the roster. Jaden Mayava's coming back this year. He had the number 1 recruiting class. It's time, man. Like it's time to put up or shut up. You know what I'm saying? There's no more excuses. Because I don't think Lincoln Riley is on the hot seat yet, but that seat is getting warm, man. That seat is getting warm, and it's time for him to produce. And if they don't make the playoffs this year, I think he is going to go into next year with an absolutely burning seat. So that's the top 15. Penn State, BYU. I think BYU again is that second team in the Big 10, Big 12. Bringing back, Bear Alexander, not Bear Alexander, the other Bear, the running back at the Bear, or the quarterback at the Bear, the Bear at the quarterback position. Penn State, I think Matt Campbell is one of the most underrated coaches in the country. I think the quarterback as well. He is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the country. Brock, I can't think of his name, dude. But I think they also have a very easy schedule to work with as well. And I would be surprised if they couldn't muster up, 9, 10 wins. Again, their schedule is very easy. The 2 toughest games are USC and basically Michigan. It's basically a 2-game season for them this year. If they can win one of those games, or even maybe both, they should be in a great position. Even if they lose both of those games, Rocco Beck is who I was thinking of. He is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the country, and I think Penn State is going to be a good team, man. And my team, Louisville, Kentucky. I'm a Louisville fan. I have them at 18. Jeff Brom, he is the QB whisperer, man. He is the QB guru. They got Lincoln Kindholz in the transfer portal. This was a guy who, whether it was just kind of fall camp bullshit and fluff, this was a guy who was competing for the starting job last year against Julian Sang at Ohio State. If you are good enough to compete for the starting job at Ohio State, I think you're good enough to play for Jeff Brom. And he is the guy that Jeff Brom went after. Jeff Brom went in the portal going after Lincoln Kindholz. Because as soon as he went in the portal, like, he was signed within a couple days. And then obviously they got Isaac Brown coming back, Kewan Brown coming back, one of the best running back groups, I think, in the country. Trey Richardson, the electric wide receiver from Vanderbilt, is there as well. It's time, Jeff Brom. What I said about Lincoln Riley, it's to a lesser extent because Jeff Brom has actually won at Louisville since he's been there. He's in his tenure at Louisville so far, he is the most winningest coach in the ACC. He's won 3 or 4 straight seasons with 9 wins. But it's time, man. Jeff Brom, you have to win those games you're supposed to win. You have to. There's no losing to Stanford. There's no losing to Pitt. There's no losing as double-digit favorites. You have to win those games. You have to win those games, man. So if they can win those games, I think he'll be fine. We got Washington, SMU, Iowa, Tennessee, Utah, Houston, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, I had a couple of the teams that I could have put here. I thought about putting Oklahoma State. I think they're going to be a dark horse team in the Big 12. You could have maybe thrown Auburn there, maybe Florida. I had Virginia Tech because I am big on James Franklin. I know the way it kind of ended at Penn State wasn't ideal. I know his record. I know his record against big, tough, big bad opponents. I know it all, but this is a guy who still beats the teams he's supposed to beat. Is a good coach. Got Penn State to the playoffs, and I think him taking a step down to kind of a lesser conference with lesser talent is going to do him justice. He got his quarterback over there, Ethan Grunkemeyer, brought him over there, brought a bunch of Penn State recruits, flipped them over to Virginia Tech, has a workable schedule, an easier conference. If you look up at the end of the year and Virginia Tech is a 9-10 win team, I would not be surprised at all. So yeah, this one ran a little longer than I wanted to. Tried to give you guys as much detail on my picks and why I picked them. But again, yeah, let me know what you guys think about these teams. Let me know your rankings. Put them down in the comments. Who do you guys have as your number one team, your number two team, your number three team? Put it down in the comments. But we are going to call this episode here. Again, just a quick. It was supposed to be quick. Just a quick breakdown of my preseason top 25. We're probably going to put out at least one episode a week over the next 3 weeks until the season starts, and then we'll probably ramp it up to 2 episodes. The AP poll, again, that's about to come out any day now, so I might react to that. I might give you my college football prediction, my college football playoff predictions as well, who I think is going to make it. We might do, a conference championship winner show as well. I got a couple ideas for a couple shows that we can get out before the preseason starts or before the season starts. And then once the season starts, we are full-fledged previews, picks, breakdowns, all that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you guys stayed along for the ride and stay along for the ride for this season. Abelson's College Football Show. We are here talking all things college football. I appreciate it if you've made it this far. Peace.